How do you get proportion, or do you want to make your drawing look realistic? So it's all the process there. We call it in drawing still life. So what is still life? Today we are going to discuss it. Still life, that means the object's composition which is not moving, and we have to draw it in different angles. So what are the rules there to draw the still life? So here we'll discuss about some of the rules about the still life and what kind of things we need to remember while we are composing the still life. So here some of the rules. Rule number 1, you have to set your own still life. So set your still life. Any of object like pots, vessels, or any kind of like pans, fruits, vegetables, you can arrange it in front of you and you can check it from the different directions. If it is correct or you think like it's all right for you, then you can start drawing it. Rule number 2. Rule number 2, that is you need to check it from all the angles which is possible for you to check the still life. So the rule number 2 is check the angles. Check the angles while you are drawing the still life. Rule number 3 is a very important rule here. Rule number 3, here you have to focus on the essential line. So that means you not need to directly draw the final line, because many times the essential lines, you make many lines to draw the sense or the drawing. So here you have to draw lots of lines, then the essential lines can be keep maintained as a final line. So here you have to draw lots of lines or the light lines to draw the drawing. So now here still life light drawing. Rule number 4, to check the source many times and to keep it in a proper natural light, not in artificial lamps or anything like that, but try to keep it in the natural light, so it will be reflected more and then there you can enjoy it. Or if you have the proper lighting, like the proper source of light, so you can arrange them to check how it is looking from the different angles or how can you create it more better. Yeah, so here make it available for different light and source. So these 4 rules are there to start the drawing before you have to maintain these rules. Now what are the things which is coming in the still life? Let's see them. So after taking the paper, you have to take the measurement very properly. So while taking the measurement, you have to make your hand straight, and you can keep the hand straight like this. You can keep the hand straight and then you can take the measurement as well. So you can move your thumb and can see how the object is aligned in front of you. So here the top of the tip will be the top of the pot or an object, and the bottom of the object will be from your thumb's tip. So here you can make your hand straight like this and can check the drawing while taking the measurement properly. And sometimes if you are having some issues like you can't take it with the whole open eyes, then you can half close your eyes, then you can take the measurement. So here, before we are going to start the still life, we are going to take the measurement. So on your sheet you have one down line, that is baseline. This line is very important because this line is the essential line for still life. Then all the drawing is based on it. So whatever the arrangement of the composition you are doing, this line is very important for that. And on this we are going to make one more line, that is central line, or the line which is in the center. So this center line we are indicating through C. So here central line we have drawn and baseline is already here. Now what we have to do afterward, we have to do the drawing after taking the measurement.
When composition a still life, try to introduce the quality that make an interesting arrangement. You need to be aware of the abstract structure of the arrangement. Its balance and contrast of line, shape, tone, color, pattern, texture and forms. Then a transparent wireframe approach to sketching the still life help you to organize the composition of the group. It makes it easier to see the shape, position and proportion of each object in the relation to its neighbors. Once you are happy with the shape, proportion and composition of the still life, you can erase its lines of construction. This will leave you with an accurate outline of each form and the confidence that all the objects are positioned correctly. You are now ready to work on the details of each object. Now lightly sketch in the shapes of any shadow or reflection onto each object. The more care you take over the accuracy of these marks, the easier you will find the next stage of the drawing, the shading of tones. The tones of a still life is built up in 4 stages, outlined in shapes. Now in this step, some basic tones are lightly applied to each object or to help build its 3-dimensional form. The second stage is building up the tone. Focuses on the spaces between the around the objects. The drawing of the light and shade between the objects must be treated as much important as the drawing of the object themselves. The shadows cast beneath and around the objects aid as much to the definition of their shapes as does the shading of their surfaces. Notice how the counter change of the tones between the objects and their surrounding spaces takes over from the use of line to define their forms. In the third stage of building up the tone, you focus back on the objects. This time you deepen their tone, increasing the contrast between the areas of dark and light. This will enhance the form of the objects and increase their impact. The biggest problem at this stage is maintaining a balance of tones across a whole still life so that no object appears too dark or too light. You are searching for a unity of tone and form. Finally, you focus again on the spaces between the objects, deepening their tones and increasing their contrast. You need to be careful in balancing the tones or the tonal values of the objects and the spaces between them to ensure that you create a unified image. The completed still life should work on two levels: as a realistic representation of the group of objects and as a dynamic composition of visual elements, harmonizing and contrasting the use of lines, shapes and tones. Thanks for watching.